Hello, hello. A very warm welcome here in Bremerhaven and online, of course. It's so focused here. It's awesome. I've never seen that before. Um, Imagine you own an apartment, probably in a multifamily home in one of the countries present here today. It's winter now. You can see that in Bremerhaven we have some cold rain here today. So you're probably spending tons of money on heating, on energy, because you have an old gas-based heating system. You have thin walls, old windows, and old roof. And that means your tenants lose lots of money through that. And also you as a building owner need to invest quite some money. And of course you want to improve that situation. You want to save money, greenhouse gas emissions and energy. And nowadays, you know that in many countries, it's quite complex to change that situation. You need to talk to public authorities. You need to talk to energy providers. You need to talk to, of course, construction companies and many more actors. And that's a reason why not enough homeowners actually renovate their apartments, their homes. And that's why today we're talking about these one-stop shops, these OSS. They're made to improve energy efficiency. They're made to simplify this situation that I'm talking about and that you're very aware of. They're part of this EPBD. For everyone who's new here, that's the Energy Performance of Buildings Directive that's aiming to improve the energy efficiency in the EU and to save us this energy, the greenhouse gas emissions, and of course, money as well. To do so, you can cooperate within one-stop shops when you're one of these actors. So that's what we've been doing here in the RenoWave project for the past 3 years now. And you will listen to, I think, very interesting, very good practical examples today that we will have here on stage. And they come from the Interreg Baltic Sea region. So that means Sweden, Finland, Latvia, Poland, Germany, Lithuania, and Estonia. So we will have a quite diverse range of experiences. We have had some pre-discussions before, so I think there will be quite some valuable insights today. So what have we prepared for you? First, we're going to have a little input from an awesome speaker from Romania. She has quite some experience about the EPBD, about OSS in Romania, and also I think a very interesting angle on the role of OSS for our democracy. So I'm excited for seeing what she will tell us about that. Then Marit, our project lead, is going to present us some key results here. And then we will hear about 4 specific OSS here on stage and what they've been experiencing over the past 4 years. I'm really happy to lead you through this session. My name is Julius Neumann. I'm an industrial engineer. I work as a moderator for sessions like this today about sustainability topics. You can see we're also recording. And I'm looking forward to this session. So I think we can start with a little quick Slido to see what's your background here in the room and especially online, since we are very curious about who's joining us. So feel free to scan this QR code or go on slido.com and enter this 7-digit code. I thought it was 8. For now, we're just interested in what type of organization you are from, so you can type that in, and then we will see it on screen, and later we have 2 more questions, and then you're already logged in, and we are quick with that. Okay, so we have someone from energy agencies. So the bigger the words on screen, the more often someone types that in, so we probably have more than one person from an energy agency. Regional government, municipalities, NGOs, university, so quite some diverse background, I think. Let's see if we get a little more here. And in between, I'm also very curious how familiar are you with one-stop shops in the building sector, especially also for the people online. Feel free to put up your hand how familiar you are from, let's say, 1 to 4. 1 is you don't really know a lot, which is very fine. Then we can tailor our discussion to that. And 4 is you know a lot, so we can really dive deep into it. Okay, so we have energy agencies, municipalities, regional public authorities, and administrations winning here. Awesome. So who says I'm not really familiar with one-stop shops in the building sector? Can I see some hands? Any hands online? Is it possible to see that? Yes. Okay, so who says two? I know a little bit, but not too much. I see one hand, two hands here. What about online? No hands? Okay, so we don't know if it's not working or they're all very familiar. Who says it's three? I'm quite familiar. I don't know everything, but quite familiar. A couple of hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Awesome. Any hands online? Okay. And number 4, I'm an expert. Okay, I see some experts that will be on stage. Awesome, and some more. Great, so we can tailor our discussion a little bit on that. Now let's dive into our project. That's the wrong card here. We have a keynote prepared for you, and our keynote speaker comes from the University Babeș-Bolyai in Romania. She's also co-chair of the Romanian Energy Poverty Observatory. So I think that's very interesting because they're focusing on improving household energy welfare. Very long word, but I think also very significant. They actually contributed to the EPBD and their implementation now themselves. So we're here at the source of what we're talking about, and they're creating a national OSS network in Romania. So I think that will be very interesting. Anca Sinea is already here. I'm going to hand over, and please give it up with a big applause to Romania.
Thank you, Julius, for this very lively presentation and for creating such a nice and friendly environment and atmosphere. I'm excited to be here and to share our thoughts. Well, I'm not sure whom I represent. I'm representing here. I have many hats, and additionally, you put a hat on my head with representing Romania here. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues and partners in the RenoWave community, I'm pleased to join you today and to reflect on the progress that we are making across the EU in shaping this energy transition, not only as a technical challenge, but as a social transformation process where citizens come at the center. So without any further nuance, let's set one clear baseline. The Energy Performance of Buildings Directive, the EPBD, which you talked about, is one of the cornerstones of EU's climate and energy policies. It does something fundamental to our understanding. It brings the conversation about buildings out of the technical box and places it at the heart of social policy as a tool for economic security and individual well-being. So the directive, just to have a general outlook of it, highlights several grand themes, namely energy efficiency as a first fuel, which is the cleanest and cheapest energy that if it remains unemployed, it goes wasted. Another grand theme is the deep renovation as a structural transformation of Europe's large and aging building stock. A third one is indoor well-being and comfort as a dimension of welfare, not a dimension of luxury, but a condition for health or fundamental condition for health, productivity, and human dignity. The integration of renewable energy systems at the building level and district level is another important topic. Digitalization and smart readiness, ensuring that users, simple users like all of us together here, can interact with this technology and make it their own, ultimately use it for their own benefit, taking into consideration also the environmental information around them. And most importantly, energy citizenship, in which individuals are not passive consumers, but are active participants and beneficiaries in the transition. In this vision, EPBD makes something very clear. Energy transition will succeed only insofar as we succeed to empower households. But empowerment is not easy on such a complex topic, and it requires tools, accessible, trustworthy, and tailored tools. And this is where one-stop shops come in and as one of the directive's most transformative ideas. Now, what are one-stop shops? One-stop shops represent much more than administrative platforms. They should be integrators and quite proactive integrators of multiple dimensions of renovations. One single renovation reunites so many aspects, a technical aspect, financial aspects, legal, as Yulu said, and why not behavioral? Which these are aspects that are sometimes or most of the time difficult to grasp in singularity and also to combine. This is not knowledge that is natural to households. It must be guided, it must be learned, trained through immediately available expertise. And here is where one-stop shops kick in. And they must perform, to my understanding, three basic functions. One of them is simplify complexity in a domain where individuals rarely feel knowledgeable, empowered, or confident. Second, personalize the journey because each building, each household has their own story, and each investment capacity is different. The third task is to connect actors in very specific local environments, that is, homeowners, local authorities, SMEs, technicians, financial institutions, and why not community organizers, and the list can go on. All of these can make sense of local environments and needs. In other words, one-stop shops translates policy ambitions into practical, lived benefits for households. And this is exactly what the EPBD requires of member states to establish inclusive technical assistance facilities, which are accessible across the territory, at least one per region, ultimately per 45,000 inhabitants, that is in every community. This proximity design is not accidental. It acknowledges a truth that we sometimes forget, that people make decisions about their homes and their wallets locally, based on cooperation with peers, with trustworthy individuals, institutions, in a context of familiarity, and not in a context of abstract notions or even national policies. So therefore, one-stop shops are infrastructures of knowledge, useful for decision-making, and of social trust. They are an embodiment of energy citizenship in action. Now, let's talk really briefly about Romania's path and about our experience. As you might all know, we have our communist path, our path through transition to a democratic society, and we have continuous legislative reforms that have shaped how we understand innovation for local communities. Energy and housing decisions were historically centralized, while welfare was left either to social assistance, so at one edge, or the other extreme to the market exclusively. And this produced long-term inequalities, leaving many communities, especially rural ones, consistently behind, especially when we speak about technological advancement. In this context, Romania has launched an ambitious reform, creating one-stop shops in every county for both urban and rural households to reach, and with a specific mission to look for the most vulnerable and those that have been traditionally excluded from dedicated measures. We chose a state-based one-stop shop model to enhance equity and policy efficacy and to provide a real alternative to the over-centralized welfare system. But models vary across Europe, and we value the guidance of the RenoWave expert communities in this sense. The network in Romania requires sustained effort and a shift in how authorities understand the concept and the role of one-stop shops. The process, so our involvement as the Romanian Energy Poverty Observatory, is central in this story as we try to educate decision makers and educate the population to use these resources in the most efficient way. In 2023, one-stop shops were integrated into the National Energy and Climate Plan, and the government ultimately established them as a main channel for household level grants for renewable solutions and refurbishment. And the results are visible and clear already, even if we haven't reached our objectives completely. many beneficiaries currently had never accessed such programs before. Hard to reach households, the digitally excluded, those in rural isolation or urban vulnerability. One-stop shops in Romania are therefore more than administrative tools. They promote knowledge-based decision-making, learning, equity, welfare, and the fairer distribution of transition benefits. They also help build new ecosystems around energy welfare. In post-communist context, the civic capacity is one of the issues that impede progress. But one-stop shops can be a resource in this sense and bring NGOs, community groups, businesses, municipalities together. We are not yet at the ideal model, but one-stop shops have become a practical instrument for learning, experimentation, and ultimately for policy and community innovation. Allow me to close my speech by returning to a more philosophical reflection. In a period when democracies across Europe and beyond are under pressure, one of the most important questions that we ask ourselves is, can democracy still deliver? Can democratic institutions provide visible, tangible welfare to their citizens? It is no coincidence that anti-democratic sentiments grows most forcefully in places where positive welfare effects are absent, where people feel forgotten, unheard, or exposed to insecurity and hardship. If we take this seriously, then one-stop shops become more than energy transition instruments. They become democratic infrastructure because they respond to precisely this challenge. They meet citizens where they are, they help them navigate through complexity, and they materialize the promise that public policy can improve daily life. A democracy that delivers comfort in winter, lower bills, healthier homes, breathable air, reduced insecurity, and more co-interested local communities, in the end, can rebuild trust. So I am pleased to reckon that making one-stop shops happen and function is the real mission of the RenoWave project and the reason for this day's reunion. So let me recommend this initiative with such great conviction and admiration, and wish you all the best in continuing your insightful work. Thank you very much.
Anka, thank you so much. I think that was very interesting. You've heard the applause. What I'm curious about, I have like one or two quick follow-up questions. Is how did you well come up with that angle on democracy? Was it something that you've thought about from the beginning, or was it something that you were surprised about yourself? How's your view on that?
Well, it's also my background formation as a university professor in the political science department. So in our institution, we are looking into the quality of policies. So, and the effect of the quality of policies on democracy, right? So basically, that's my professional, let's say, angle in it. But besides the professional angle, it is the practice that we've been through. Being part of the Romanian Energy Poverty Observatory, we've been constantly on the ground performing research. And we have reckoned that communities that are stricken by energy poverty are also communities that are low on democratic values. Our last elections in Romania showed this quite sociologically on the map, right? With communities where the abilities, and this is very specific here, the administrative capacity, lower communities with lower administrative capacity concentrated in their public administration, delivering lower results on energy efficiency and energy technology adoption in households. They were also positively correlated with low democratic values and preference in elections for leaders that are non-democratic. in their visions. So yes, this is the source of our it's sort of an empirical conclusion, let's say.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you to Romania. I think you're going to stay with us and watch some practical experiences today. But I think we'll send you to we'll send you a second round of applause to Romania. Thank you, Anka.
Thank you so much.
Well, let's now dive into our RenoWave project. You know, you've heard it again. As a building owner, it's quite complicated as an apartment owner to improve that situation. So let's come to our main question today. How can we change that? The RenoWave project team has worked on quite hands-on answers. We're going to see about that today and now. Let's have a look at the most important project results. Our project lead is going to present them to us. She works for the county government in Dalarna, which is a region north of Stockholm in Sweden. And I'm just going to leave her the stage. Big applause for Marit Ragnarsson.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome and thank you for participating in this event. It will be the final one in the RenoWave project, where the aim of and the purpose of this event is to share our knowledge and results and experience on setting up OSSs and hopefully inspire municipalities and regions and all the ones who now, according to the building directive, needs to start and set up OSSs. Yes, my name is Marit Ragnarsson from the County Board of Dalarna. We have been the lead partner in this project, and the project has really been about developing solutions and piloting them to really get the renovation wave happen within the EU. Just some facts about the project. We've been running for 3 years, and we are financed by the Interreg Baltic Sea program. We have partners from all the countries around the Baltic Sea area, except for Denmark. You can see all the partners here, and we've had a close cooperation and a very fruitful one, I'd say. And it was mentioned also from Anka, but I will repeat the opportunities of why do we need to work on energy renovations. Of course, that is about reducing the energy costs and the energy poverty. But it's also really hard facts about maintaining buildings. We know the situation, and it varies a little bit within the Baltic Sea countries, that in some cases it's really hard facts that we need to expand the lifetime of the building. Renovation is needed to make the house to last longer. But also, many of the energy efficiency measures that we take also improve the indoor climate, and that's something that is important to take in consideration when you decide on investments. And of course, this in total contribute to the EU vision about zero emission buildings for 2050. And then our project within the RenoWave has focused particularly on multifamily buildings, and the multifamily buildings that are home owned. And that is a quite tricky target group, as mentioned before, because we have to deal with a lot of different stakeholders, lots of different people living in a building that needs to be part of these decisions. And those people owning an apartment is most often don't have that much knowledge about energy efficiency. And maybe the buildings aren't that professionally managed. And we know from the situation today that we are wasting a lot of energy, and we have a huge potential in saving more energy in this target group. So we need to work on a group that are lacking knowledge and many time and resources for doing energy efficiency. Just also to point out how the project has worked, we worked in 3 steps. First year, we were developing solutions. Second step was piloting them. And now in the 3rd year, we are transferring the solutions to others, inspiring and sharing results. Okay, so if you want to set up an OSS, you need to go through a few steps. And the first step is to analyze the market, the situation that you have in your region. It could be what type of building and the need of renovation. Is it like in some of our countries, it's more like a step-by-step renovation process that is needed and to be continued? Or is it really deep renovation for the whole building that is needed? What type of homeowners do we deal with in this area? Is it rich, poor, older, younger, language barriers, and so? That needs to be taken in consideration when you sort of think of what type of model and offer you want to set up. How is the knowledge on energy in this target group? What support is needed, and so. So you have to analyze that as a first step. Second step would be then to analyze advantages and disadvantages of different models, because there is different type of models that you could set up. Is there, for instance, public subsidies that could support an OSS? And will we see that on the table after the governments now are implementing the new directive? Of course, that makes sense to take in consideration when you decide what type of OSS you want to set up. You can have, I can mention at least 4 different type of ones. It could be a public one-stop shop being fully integrated into the municipality administration, where then you have the benefit of being very close to the city administration and maybe have the budget from them. But it can also be a little bit tricky that you're not that flexible and you are very dependent on the yearly budget of the municipality or so. And of course, a public OSS cannot run an ESCO services. Then you can have like a public OSS entity, and that maybe gives you a little bit more of a flexibility. That's another choice. A third choice would be maybe to have a private-public partnership or an entity that is owned by public-private together. And that might be easier then to attract business actors into such model. Or as a fourth one, a strict private OSS. But then as a municipality, if you rely on that, it might be a little bit risky to put everything on the same horse, sort of. So, but there are different options to consider. And for, of course, for solution providers, the entrepreneurs that's going to be part of this OSS, it makes a lot of sense being part of an OSS. It helps you to reach the market, and it helps you maybe to build long-lasting relationships for the whole region, sort of. Okay, so third, define your target group. And as we are working on multifamily buildings, we know that there is a difference within the Baltic Sea areas. In some countries, multifamily buildings are owned by an association that can take the decision on the renovation. In some other cases, it's not. There is no association. You have to deal with every single homeowner to make the decisions. And of course, that makes it a little bit trickier. Okay, so you need to develop a business model. Of course, you have to define your key activities, resources, set your budget, find out where can your revenues be, and so, and how are you going to market the OSS. And fifth and not last, you're starting up your OSS. And things to take into account when you sort of starting up is maybe to start in a small step and scaling up. And to become really an expert and to build trust for the market is a really key issue. And marketing, of course. Yeah. Well, that's sort of the 5 steps of setting up an OSS. And now I will show you the different kinds of services that can be offered within an OSS. And we, in the RenoWave project, we have sort of developed this model, consists of 4 parts of the RenoWave extended OSS model. First of all, we have the data handling methodology. That's a key thing. If you don't have a good overview and knowledge of the building stock in your area, you're lost. You have to have good facts and knowledge, knowing which ones have been renovated, what has not been renovated, where are we, what is the energy performance of the buildings, and so on, and key actors. And you have to have a good system of updating that knowledge the whole time, and that's a key thing for an OSS. Secondly, the communication and marketing, of course, to find and to attract building owners to do renovation, communication is a key issue, of course. In the RenoWave project, we have developed lots of communication material, how to reach, inspire, and argue for energy renovations among home hubs. And then, thirdly, also another key component in an OSS service is organizing stakeholder forums. We can see from experience that homeowners that only talk to one municipality or an energy agency or an OSS like that might not be enough convinced that this is something that I should join. But talking to others, seeing that they have done a renovation process, what did they experience? Why did they join? Talking to each other, learning from each other is a key component. So an OSS could very well organize such forums. And then fourth and not least and largest part is really the technical assistance. To be there to support a homeowner in doing an energy audit, planning for the renovation, finding the suppliers, finding the finance, doing the actual renovation work and follow it up. So these four different parts of an OSS we believe should be included in the OSS that are set up. Then we should also be aware that the OSS could be set up on different levels and different ambition levels. This one summarizes in 3 different levels, but of course there is big mix and possible varieties in between this. But to simplify, you could say that we have the advice model as a basic model. Then you have the focus on detecting the target group, having the overview of the buildings, and focusing on awareness raising, information, inspiration, and cooperation. And the character of that advice model is very often that it's a public, something that could be done within the public organization. Second, a bit more advanced level of an OSS is the support model. So except for providing what's in an advice model, the support model can also go further on really designing renovation projects, finding suppliers, and coordinate the suppliers to work together. When we come to that step, then we are sort of moving into a step where it might not always be comfortable being totally within the in the public sector. It could be a business model running a support model. And then thirdly, we have an even more advanced level that we, given the title here, is implementation model. And I think we have no really example of us of having a total implementation model where you also you also are a construction company offering actually building work. But in this model, you can offer a full renovation and bear the responsibility of it and take guarantees energy savings or offer energy savings. So here you are definitely an all-inclusive business model that is sort of on the table. But again, it could be a mix between all of the 3 of them, but we will have examples of this later in the panel. The work we've done within the RenoWave project has been summarized in this guide, a transnational guide based on project pilots and experience. The guide consists about 60 pages stuffed with knowledge, inspiration, good practices, tips, and so on, how to set up an OSS, and what all these different phases of parts of technical assistance, how actually to do that. So we'd like to highlight and promote this guide for all of you listening here today. And not only that, except for this guide, we have a whole bunch of sub-guides that is annexes to this OSS guide. And these sub-guides consist of also concrete tips, good examples, guidelines, step-by-step guidelines on how actually can you have an overview and detection of the building stock, market and communication, how do you do trainings, how do you get the collaboration forums working, and all this about technical assistance. So please, you can dig into that. And that was my final slide.
Thank you, Margaret. So I think, yeah, you can recommend downloading the OSS guide. I've had a look. I think it's 68 pages, so it's quite comprehensive. Shouldn't shock you and stop you from looking into it, because there's great boxes of short, concrete examples.
Yeah, we try to put it short,
exactly.
Concrete.
Yeah, I didn't want to create the impression that it's very long. It isn't. No. It's very very useful, very practical, I think. And very practical is also what we're doing now. We are diving into the projects. One more applause from Marit, I think. We have prepared 4 brief presentations from different examples. You will see about that. And I think we're just starting by moving to Estonia. Siim Meeliste is energy efficiency and renewable energy expert there. Well, he works for the municipality of Võru, and that's where our first OSS comes from. And I think give it up for Siim, please. Yes.
Hello. So, hi, my name is Siim. I work for the Võru Development Center. And how do you sum up 3 years into 4 minutes? I will try my best. First of all, you can see on the slide where Võru is located. We are quite far from the capital, bordering Russia and Latvia. And I would really thank Anka for her presentation, because I think the motivation for our one-stop shop is not simply energy efficiency. It's exactly this empowerment and social developmental aspect that drives us, that drives the politicians. So we want to deal with energy efficiency, but we also want to deal with the housing issue. We want to deal with people in the houses who are not able to help themselves, who have a little experience with institutions, whether they are democratic or non-democratic. So we were already thinking 10, 20 years ahead. We can get the low-hanging fruit now, but what shall we do in 10 years, 20 years, when all the low-hanging fruit is depleted? How to motivate the people renovate their buildings then? So as with a lot of countries in Europe, we have a building stock mainly from 1980s or before. It's unrenovated, and we will have a social problem, not only an energy issue. So with our one-stop shop, we were already somehow on the way, because of course, I hope many of you know the good example of Kredex, which an organization handing out support for renovation of apartment buildings in Estonia. They have a very good support scheme. But again, Võru, before 2023, has had 11 full renovations of the building stock of 800 apartment buildings. So that was clearly an issue with applying for the support, even though the support scheme had been there for 15 years already. So with One Stop Shop, we transferred the collaboration forum experience from our good friends in Finland. We created a platform for people to meet, for residents to meet, to talk to each other, share experiences. We took them out of the meeting rooms. We took them on site to see what were the renovation experiences. I always like to say that I was working in ministry a couple of years back, and I consider myself a guy in a suit who talks untrustworthy theoretical stuff. So I was never the speaker, the speakers were the people who had actually done work in the city where people lived in. And that had an immense effect, I would say, for us. I had not actually realized that, but with my good colleague Jaanus, we had put together some numbers. So let's say our one-stop shop and our project started in 2023. As I said, 11 full renovations with support before that. But now it's the end of 2025. We have had 3 years. We have had now 28 full renovations, deep renovations financed in our county, and 66 applications that have been made during that time. Some of the results are still incoming, so that number 28 is sure to rise. Yeah, so that has been our experience, and I would say that it would not have happened if there wasn't such a good project framework for our one-stop shop, because learning together is not useful only for the people who want to renovate, but it was also useful for us. And I am happy to say that these experiences of setting up a one-stop shop and doing all the pre-analysis and choosing your model has also been compiled into a very short and concise guide. So I will finish with the words of encouragement for everyone to look at our sub-guides and our guides and to see whether or not you have considered creating a one-stop shop. Have a look at our guide. You might discover that maybe there are some small steps that you can take, not create a one-stop shop as such, but maybe just a collaboration forum, maybe just a place to meet people, listen to people, have them talk to each other, and maybe something good will come out of it, besides renovation of an apartment building. Thanks.
Thank you. Well, thank you to the untrustworthy guy in the suit. I think there was yeah, very, very good example of how well you can summarize 3 years in 4 minutes, and also how it works in Estonia. We will talk about that later in more depth. Now we're moving to Latvia, and we're moving to the region of Vidzeme with Edgars Augustin. She is energy efficiency expert for the region. He's leading the OSS activities there, and he's also talking a lot about how this is a social topic, how this work helps people to feel safe at home. So please give it up for Edgars.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, my name is Edgars Augustin, and I'm pleased to be here and present Vidzeme planning region. So our story as the partner of the project and with a fully jumping in the idea to set up one-stop shop, we did it in the Vidzeme planning region in 2022-23, so at the beginning of the project. And to understand, so the naming, the Vidzeme planning region says, so in Latvia we have four of regions, and Vidzeme is one of them, located more to north and part of Latvia, combining 10 municipalities. So that means within the region there is 10 towns, regions, tiny municipalities, which is being combined under umbrella Vidzeme planning region. That actually led us to think about how we really do it with setting up the one-stop shop, because we don't have like direct involvement stuff in the municipalities where the buildings are, where the people live, but we do have this overall look, and therefore we said let's set up this as the one point umbrella organization to reach out for the municipalities where usually today there is energy managers who are actively working in the municipality and dealing with the energy efficiency matter down on the spot. and that was our idea. Worth to point out that understanding that the intensity and the rates of renovation, they are low. Overall, so in the region, there is more or less 280,000 residents living in 4,500 apartment buildings. Only 7% of them have been renovated in last 15 years. So the rates are low. The needs of going down to residents was like calling quite high and loud. So therefore, the idea was let's go with the advice model. Let's make the stories happen, as Anka presented. We really try to make it personalized. So going to the meetings, jumping straight with the residents, one-to-one in the contact. At some point, trying to be like mediator between the housing maintenance company, the residents, and then they have stuck at some point, lost trust in the process. We were mediators in between those meetings and trying to be clear, simple, and transparent on the process and explaining why actually you need to go towards renovation. So that was one of the main things. So we set up 2 physical places in Valmiera and Cēsis, and other things were organized more or less remotely. I can say that we allocated 1/2 full persons for this work, so to move it out, to pilot and test it, how it's going to work out. So worth to mention, also we emphasized the idea and the core naming. How would we call the one-stop shop? And we said that it will be energy guide. And with the energy guide, which not just lead the process, but actually shows the benefits, explains why, and be really like one-to-one guide. So therefore, we try to make the story on this so that we can catch the people, catch the interest, and build on that. So other things, how it will get finalized and continue, I think we will really tackle on the discussion. But overall, I would say this was a great experience for the planning region to understand, to pilot the idea, share the knowledge around the country, because we do have several one-stop shops already set up in the country, in the capital city and some regions as well, and giving the true valuable insight whether this can be continued and it should be continued.
Awesome. Now let's move to Poland. We're moving to an OSS that's quite special because it's a bottom-up initiative and it's a private initiative. Janusz Karl is CEO at South Poland Cleantech Cluster. He's joining us online. Janusz, I hope you can hear us very well.
Yes, we can.
Tell us a little bit about what you did during the past years in your work. And I think we'll send you an applause as well because you're already on stage. One applause for Janusz and enjoy.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. And I will very shortly introduce you to our project. I will start with saying that we are the first and the only one-stop shop in Poland. I don't know why different partners didn't succeed in creating one-stop shops in Poland, but we started, in December 23, one of the members of our Cleantech cluster asked us to start one-stop shop because it was needed for the project, RenoWave project. So we agreed on that and accepted the proposal. It was perhaps easier for us than for some other players in the market because we are a Cleantech cluster. We've been operating for 9 years now, and we've been always working with new buildings like a smart city, intelligent buildings, new technologies. But in this case, we got the opportunity to work with buildings that needed renovation, thermal renovation. building of different kind. From the beginning, we were interested in family buildings and multifamily buildings as well, and public buildings owned by the municipalities or districts. So from the 1st of January 24, it's almost 2 years ago, we started the first and still the only one-stop shop in Poland. We started with seminars, with webinars, and with conferences. The main purpose with our work in the beginning of the project was to raise the awareness of all players, all people that were interested in either step-by-step renovation or by deep renovation. So we started with this seminars, conferences, and we started visiting municipalities and districts as well. And what we discovered was that they didn't know very much about the renovation of the buildings, and they didn't cooperate at all. So our main task was to convince them to participate in tenders where more than one municipality or district could join forces. It's not easy in Poland because we need some changes in the laws about the building renovation and all this stuff regarding the renovation of the buildings of any kind. It's not easy because everybody is waiting for the implementation of EPBD directive, and we guess that it will take place in the beginning of the next year. So the municipalities are not going to start any renovations on bigger scale before the EPBD directive is introduced. Really, we have 4 directives that are being introduced in Poland right now. It's Energy Efficiency Directive, EPBD, Energy Efficiency of Buildings Directive. It's RES 3, Renewable Energy Sources, and ETS 2. So there's a lot of different things going when we consider renovation, thermal renovation of the buildings. We are very proud of opening an office in our Cleantech cluster where everybody from the street, they can call us, visit us, and everybody can get information about what building renovation is, different stages, how they can finance the renovation, and even who can they hire to do the building renovation for them. We created an ecosystem which is consisting of about 30 partners of different kind. Some of them are construction companies. It might be auditors, technological companies. Like we have 4 companies that produce heating solutions for the owners of the buildings. We have some companies that produce insulation of different kind for the insulation of buildings. So we have created this ecosystem. All these companies have joined our cluster. They are paying for the membership. That's how we can do all the conferences and seminars. At the same time, we got some support from the Malopolska Association of the Municipalities and Districts. And something interesting happened lately because Malopolska Association has sent letters to 3 ministers in Poland introducing the RenoWave project to them and asking them to consider our one-stop shop as a pilot project when they will announce some calls for creating one-stop shops in Poland. Because one-stop shops have to have some, that's what we think, some public support, some public financing. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for them to do all the advice and support for the owners of buildings. Right now, we are somewhere in between the advice and support model. Okay, that was everything from me, and I guess we will talk more about our model later.
Thank you, Janusz. You're totally right. We will talk about the details later. And now for the fourth presentation, we're traveling to Vilnius, to Lithuania. We're going to hear a lot about communication now. Lina Bubulytė is a project manager at OSS Miestas, and I think I'm going to hand the mic to her. Let's welcome her on stage.
Good morning, all. I know we're getting to the end of the presentations. I know. Yes, we're going to go on to the panel discussion soon. My name is Lina Bubulytė, and I am a head of EU projects team at Atnaujinkime miestą. So Atnaujinkime miestą in English, that would be Let's Renovate the City. And in a short name, or like you will hear a lot, is going to be A miestas. So that's an easier way to pronounce for non-Lithuanians as well. We have, as an organization, we are a non-profit, we are a public institution, and we have been established by Vilnius City Municipality. And it was in 2007, yes, long time ago. However, we started operating as a one-stop shop since 2020. So only 5 years we're doing, we would say it's a mix between support and implementation, but as Marit mentioned, we don't have our contractors on site. We do public procurement for that, but mainly we provide the whole service kind of package for the residents. So how we are organized, as I mentioned, we've been established by Vilnius City Municipality, and we're mainly funded by them. So we get about 70% from Vilnius City Municipality, and the rest comes from APVA, which is Environmental Project Management Agency. So we get the fee for managing the project, for renovation project. And of course, we participate in various EU funding projects, programs like Interreg, LIFE, and also Shared Green Deal. Speaking about the target group, as we all hear, we know we're coming from Baltic states as well. In Latvia and Estonia, we have the same problem. We have many Soviet buildings, so our main target group is old multi-apartment buildings and, basically residents living in those old multi-apartment buildings. And in Vilnius itself, we have about 5,200 multi-apartment buildings that are built before 1993. And out of those, 4,500, they need still to be renovated. So you can imagine we're quite busy. We have a lot of work to do. And we have a team of 50 people working in our organization. But that's purely because we provide the whole services. So going into that, first of all, we promote renovation. So we provide various programs and various measures. We develop those to support the residents and to provide information for them. And this lovely lady at the corner, it says, what a beautiful future in a renovated multi-apartment building. And it's been developed within RenoWave project, one of our marketing campaigns. We also communicate with the residents and engage with the residents on a daily basis. So our teams are out and about all the time. We have sales team, we have implementation team that they're working on like actual contracting and managing the contractors on site, also meeting with the residents and providing information what's going to be done or how we're going to do the things and so on. And also even after renovation, we provide kind of post-renovation support. So we do the credit loans, like credit administration. So we manage the loans for the residents as well. And also, beside that, we do full comprehensive project management service. So as I always say, this is from very first, hello, we are here to help to the residents until the scaffolding is down on the building. So until the renovation is done and when we get the completion papers from the government that it's being done. Overall, in terms of RenoWave project, we're happy to be part of it. Well, we were happy to be part of it, to have that collaboration with also Baltic states, but not only Baltic states, but Swedish partners, German partners. We learned a lot. We shared our experience, and let's hope this collaboration can continue. Thank you.
Lina, thank you. So that was quick, short, and straight to the facts. And now we have listened to 4 examples. I think very different examples, from publicly funded OSS to a privately funded OSS, from implementation models to, well, the advice models. So we're going to, well, dive deeper a little bit onto that with our, well, panel discussion. You are already invited to think about, if you have questions, you can go on the Slido that should be open, and there should be the Q&A section where you can already type in some questions, and then later we will have that here on the screen and try to answer them. So for now, I need you for one more applause to get our panelists back on stage, please. Please join me here. Take a seat. There should be enough space. Please don't fall from stage. Lina, I hand the mic to you because I think the first question I have prepared is for you, because you were talking so much, also when we had a little pre-discussion, you were talking so much about the role of communication. You have showed us you're out with your teams all the time. You're doing the marketing campaigns and so on. What exactly did you do there? How did you invest in people, in relationships first, besides the marketing campaign you showed to us?
Well, as we always say, that everything starts with the first meeting with the residents, right? So
how do you get them to the first meeting?
To get to that point, yes, it's we have obviously various options. So sometimes we get the calls from the residents, so like from multi-apartment building, but we always say, like, if someone calls us and says, "Oh, let's meet up, come to our apartment and show like the presentation about renovation," and we always say, "Well, hold on a minute, how many people would like to do so?" Like, "Oh, just me." No. You have to walk around, ask the neighbors whether they would like to do the renovation. Of course, there will be yes and no's. But if one person randomly calls, we would not go there. But if we know that we have like active community leader that is walking around, is asking the neighbors, like, would you like to do the renovation, or would you like at least to listen about renovation? And they would say, yeah, we would have about like 50% of people interested. Then we would go and have a meeting there. And of course, we start the process, and I could talk for hours how the process continues. But on the other hand, we also organize, like, not for only like one multi-apartment building, but we have like 3 or 4, and we have like a school like around it in the area, and we would organize a meeting there to invite more people. So
when you would say you could talk about that process for hours, what's maybe the most valuable part where you would say that's something people should steal from us?
Well, because we're a public institution and fully funded from like Vilnius city municipality, our service is free of charge for residents from very first meeting until, as I said, the scaffolding is down. So it's like we support them free of charge, basically.
Okay. And then we talked about before we met today, you would call yourself not just like a service provider or something, you would call yourself community partners. So I think that's a good description for, I guess, a more intense relationship. How would you say is that important? Have you adjusted that over the time? Have you done that from the beginning?
We participated 1 year. It was for a year like experiment. It was the Share Green Deal initiative, like European as well. And what we had to do, we had to kind of organize a knowledge network group from experts and from residents as well. So it's pretty much similar as the partners did here in RenoWave project, like collaboration forums. So we had 8 events organized for the residents. And at the end, what we did like a survey asking, so what did you like? What did you not like? And it was quite nice because one guy, he literally just wrote a note saying, well, this is my social life. Like I'm a pensioner. I live on my own and I come to these events to socialize. So that was, so that's why we're here as a community partner as well, just to help them, to support them, and to be their social life too.
Hey, that's very interesting. Sim, I've been thinking about that when you were talking here on stage. And I'm wondering what your perspective on that part is, being a community partner, and how you reach the people, since you said the situation is very much focused on you have a high need for actual deep renovations. I could imagine it's maybe also not that easy to reach the people in your community.
Yeah, indeed. I would completely agree with Lina that it's a social event as well when you start talking about renovation, because I would say that mm, um, they are kind of parties because you have like coffee and maybe some more cakes, So it's and I would say that like with every huge event, coffee break is as important as are the meetings and like the presentations themselves. So really, I would say that 10 years ago, the approach was top down, that you would like funnel information towards the apartment buildings. Maybe there was someone to receive the information, like the head of the association or someone like that. Maybe not, but you would just push information down to the apartment buildings, hoping that someone gets it and stuff would happen. But now I would say with these collaboration forums that we piloted, we experienced that it's not the heads of the apartment associations that necessarily come to the meetings, because they might be interested in something else, Maybe there's a football match going on at the same time, so I don't care, I won't go. But we organized our collaboration forums in a way that we invited all homeowners. So basically it wasn't restricted, anyone could come. It was oriented to multi-apartment building owners or flat owners there. You could be a private house owner, you could still come, you could still talk. And we, at one point during our project, we had a look at the ownership and gender balance in our county as well, because we were in our meetings there were very many ladies participating, and it's actually a fact that the ownership structure changes with age. And I would say that we have had a very positive experience with them, because those ladies tend to be more social, so they come to the meeting, they talk to each other, they gather information, but then they go back to the building and they talk to their friends. So the information spreads out far better than just using these formalized structures. So that's, I think, a great experience. And if you offer this free of charge, sprinkle some cakes and coffee on top of the meetings, then.
What I'm interested about as well is you were talking about the low-hanging fruits today and that you need to prepare for the not low-hanging fruits in 10, 20 years. What is it today? Is it low-hanging fruits? And what do you think what will need to change with your work for the next 10, 15 years that you will get every building to renovate?
Yeah, I would say that's the part of our model that's in between of advice and support, because we started out with simply advice. So we thought that we would just offer information. But at one point we saw that people are interested in renovation, but they have some other completely different issues from renovation that they need to solve before they are ready to start dealing with renovation. They might have some people who owe the housing association a lot of money, so that's a legal issue, how to deal with them. Or in Estonia, you have a particular case where the legal bodies for apartment buildings were created by law, and then not all the apartment buildings have like formulated governing structure where the house is governed by the people who live in that house. They have like a management company somewhere. Yeah. So people wanted to get rid of that management company. So again, some legal issues related to that. So we offered free of charge, up to a point, legal advice during the project, just to test it. And I think that worked very well because people, it built trust in our organization. It helped people to clean out their organizational structure. And that's like something that you need to be ready to start thinking about renovation, I think, eventually. Because when you go to apply for a public support, you need to be like a trustworthy partner there as well. But there's many steps to get to that point still.
All right, we've talked a lot about trust now. I think a very important long-term topic is the topic of financing these OSS activities as well. Janusz, I'm looking to the screen at you. You are, if I got that right, you finance your activities without public funding, but you're also not taking fees if you would advise me as a homeowner. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did. Yes, we are a limited liability company, but non-profit. So without any support from public authorities, when we started our one-stop shop, and the situation is still like that, there are no public money for creating of one-stop shops in Poland. We guess that in the beginning of the next year, there will be some calls for creation of one-stop shops. And as we are the only one in Poland, and the situation is like that since the 1st of January 24, we cover a very big area. In the EPBD directive, it's written that there should be one-stop shop for every 80,000 inhabitants. We are covering 4 regions in southern Poland. It's a region with 12 million people. And because we are the only one.
How do you finance that?
Yeah, we created this ecosystem consisting of many different players in the renovation process, and they are paying fees. This allows us to concentrate on the task, and we have about 90 members in our clinic cluster, and 35 of them are working with thermal renovation of buildings. So that gives us possibility to operate for free. It means that everybody can come to us or call us, and all these people will get advice what is renovation of a building, what stages they have to go through, how to finance the projects, and even we advise them on technologies as well. and propose some companies that can provide and lead the renovation projects concerning their houses. And we provide this knowledge, and here we can stop with our advice to these investors. But if they decide to use one of the companies or auditors or banks who are in our ecosystem, we propose them to monitor the process of renovation of their buildings. Otherwise, as I said, we provide all this advice, and then we can stop the cooperation with all these people. But if they choose somebody from our ecosystem, we provide further help for them in the process of renovation of their buildings.
Yeah. Thank you, Janusz. I think the topic of finance and funding is a very fundamental here. Edgars, what's your take on, and also your way looking forward regarding sustainable funding for your work?
Very good question. Very good. Very good. Yeah. As we see, the piloting is fully relying on new project funding at the moment. Yeah. But so yeah, one thing which we were really discussing between the colleagues and the idea, which has not finalized in the end in the reality, was so how to build the continuity on this is that as a bit from the pitch of the model and presentation, so 10 municipalities, so means that also within planning region combines those the board of municipalities. Usually those are mayors. And that's the perfect point where you can actually say, okay, each municipality put in some share of euros, yearly budget, and then we can continue on that matter. But through the fact that it has not been realized in the life, that was the one of the idea. The other thing was we were really expecting, and we had dialogue with the ministries, so as the EBRD or EPBD are coming with the mandate, there is need of one-stop shops. We were expecting that maybe in some national funding that may come, but coming down like model which we piloted at the moment, we don't see it. So I can surely say to pilot on the EU budget you can do it, but to do it on the continuing level, like make it for the long term, that's quite tricky and challenging actually to do it.
Yeah, some other strategy. Okay, you said you're combining quite a bunch of municipalities. How is that? Is that complicated? Can you recommend why are you doing that at all?
It's logical because the structure of our public entities is made like that, but it gave also some benefits initially because we directly contacted municipalities, looked for the interest because we didn't have any starting point at all because there's no linkage like region with the buildings. Therefore, we contacted the energy managers, the active municipal employees who is kind of dealing with their housing stock in their municipalities. And we started, let's do the energy audits. Who are interested? So where are the interests? Who are willing to start the renovation plan on for the building renovation? And we made like the call, more like closed call with direct contacts with the municipalities. And that was the starting point actually to start. And that was beneficial in this case of the contacts within the municipalities because we do have like strong network in the region where there are energy managers which join on quarterly meetings coming on the topic of energy efficiency in the public buildings, also in the residential sector, and so on. And then moving forwards, we actually use the potential so let's bring together with those residents and are there any interest for them? Are there any gaps of them? And so on. And that led to us some local activists who are gathering in real rural area where there's like 5 multi-apartment buildings And they are really thinking whether we renovate or building has to be demolished. And that's the fact and the reality. And then we are coming down to the meeting and actually inviting energy auditor, explain, please delete all those tables which you have in the report. But in simple words, let's describe what's happening in the building, where are the problems, and on how needs to be solved them. And also by engaging the residents, putting the picture of the building and asking, where do you see the problems? Because there are cracks, there are some leaking in the roofs, and engaging from the safety of the house perspective, and then only coming, yes, renovation is one way to solve it. That was the path we really used on that.
All right. I think it sounds like you have quite some support there. Lina, I think you have the most impressive story in Vilnius with this long history since 2007. You have this, I think, 200 projects, 400 million euros that you're kind of dealing with, 50 employees. Why do your politicians and your municipality support you so much? What's your secret?
Good question. Right. So I think, well, basically what happened was, as I mentioned before, we have so many buildings that's obviously deteriorating and they need renovation. And with the speed that when the organization was established in 2007, they had, I think, a couple of projects or something going on, and like 7 people probably. But now we have, as you mentioned, yes, about 250 projects at the moment in different stages, various stages, like phases, and some still like in selling phase, some in like completion phases, and so on. But the main thing is like to speed up. So this RenoWave should happen not only in Vilnius or Lithuania, but in all Europe. So basically, they're trying to speed up the process, and plus Vilnius is 100 mission cities as well. So we have some targets to achieve by 2030, by 2050 as well. And that's why I think municipality created these separate organizations, and such as us, like to purely focus on renovation. So there are different organizations. So I think it's under municipality. There's like water providers. There is another organization, Climate Neutral Vilnius as well. So they're working on various topics. And we are basically only working on renovation, trying to speed it up, trying to convince people, trying to promote it. And that's why, and plus the buildings contribute about 40% of CO2. In all Europe. So this is another reason to help city to achieve its climate targets as well.
Okay. Janusz, I'm looking at you again because you told me that it's very important, and I think that you would like to have more, or that you need more political support in your case. That's what I got in our pre-talk. What's your plan on increasing that, and how does it hinder you right now with your work?
Yeah, we are visiting a lot of municipalities and districts and trying to convince them to start the renovation of buildings and cooperate. 2 or 3 municipalities could participate in one tender, and then the price would be lower. That's exactly what the RenoWave project is working with. We didn't succeed yet. It's very difficult to get them to cooperate about this common project. And but we need more awareness-raising companies in Poland generally. And as I said, everybody is waiting for the implementation of this 4 directives. Nobody wants to start anything before they know exactly how these directives will be implemented in Poland. So here we have a problem. But we know that, EPBD, the directive has to be implemented before May next year. So we suppose that a lot of new proposals, laws regarding building, energy efficiency and things like that will be introduced at the end of this year and in the beginning of the next year. And then we hope that especially municipalities and districts will be more willing to start all these renovation projects and especially cooperate with each other around bigger projects.
A positive perspective here. That sounds good. Talking about perspective, Sim, if you could start again or launch an OSS 2.0, what would you do differently next time? What's your experiences from the project?
Yeah, I would like to say that we did everything perfectly, but the only, I mean, I think the positive aspect of this project was the fact that as we had limited time and we had also not only the development and piloting phase, but also the transfer phase in our project meant that within 3 years we had to develop, test, and then talk about our solutions, meaning that the first collaboration forum meeting we organized, I think, took place less than 6 months before we started the project. So the only thing I would do differently perhaps is to make it even earlier. So start with some activities even earlier, do a bit less planning and a bit more like agile testing, because it's not possible to get everything right from the start. And I think that was one of the things that we did, but we could have done even more. So less planning, more testing and live action. Yeah.
Guys, what would you say if you could restart?
I think we will do then more down to the earth model, because we see that there is some municipal companies and also public maintenance companies who are doing very well in region, like top cities which do the renovation rates across the Latvia. Therefore, with more stronger their involvement, because they do have already procedures and trust built, which is I think the core thing towards renovation. We would more emphasize on that level, engaging with them, spreading that know-how, maybe outside of neighboring municipalities would work then better for us.
So we've got some time for your questions. And first, we have a little Slido prepared. So if you're still logged in, we would like to know first what your main takeaway is. And while you are very welcome to type that in, is it working already? Should be the same Slido like before. Is it working or is it not online yet? I can see some people scanning again. Awesome. Can we jump one question further? We will work on restoring the connection, and while we do that, Sim wants to add on that.
Yeah, I would just take the opportunity.
Yes.
So one thing I thought about while sitting here was that somehow all of the examples we spoke about today are from the same region.
Yes.
We have the Baltic chain, right? But our project actually included other member states as well, who are maybe in other completely different phases in their multi-apartment building and housing state, like Sweden, for example.
Yeah.
They have different issues, but one thing we learned is that those are the challenges we need to tackle in 5 to 10 years, because our buildings that we have renovated in the past 10 years will reach the state buildings in Finland, Sweden, and elsewhere are right now. So this project was also very helpful in that part, that we got into our heads that like life doesn't stop when you renovate the building. There's yeah, exactly. So it's like a magic mirror. So that's what I wanted to point out, that we had some other partners who did some slightly different work during the project, which is useful for us for the future planning as well.
That's a good hint. Yes, of course.
I just would like to add that, yes, we were obviously, this is the Baltic states, so we are very, very similar. We have Poland is very similar as well. Of course, Sweden and Finland, probably they are slightly different. However, end of the day, and it's the case of like Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, like we are talking about the people, right? People are making that decision to renovate or not to renovate. So the most important fact that people buy from people. So that's why you need that connection, you need that engagement, you need to talk to them on a daily basis, because some people are scared, they don't know, they lack of knowledge, lack of information, and basically that's why we are here to support and walk them through the like very difficult and complex processes.
Okay, I think the Slido might work now. Okay, does it work now? Awesome, because we're really interested in your main takeaway from the presentations you saw today, maybe from your own work, from our discussion here as well, what you see important about these OSS. And then we have room for questions, own experiences, statements. If you want to add something, just raise your hand or type it in the Q&A on Slido, and then we can add on that. But don't feel pressured. Before I can ask more questions, one more time, Sim.
Yeah, no, I was just another idea I had.
Yes.
Was that talking about financing? I think as this is an EU-wide event today, I would call upon the Commission, who reviews member states' plans for the next financing period, starting from 2028, which is in the planning process now, to think about when you look at member states' plans, to look look on the housing sector and whether member states plan to finance renovation as such in their plans, because that's one way also to influence the political level, to pour money into a sector which has like only net positive effects.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to get that out there.
I think that's a general message for today. Feel free to take away these things we have learned from the project and bring them to policymakers, because like Janusz said, there is still some things, some laws to implement on a national level. So this is also a good opportunity to do that on a empirical basis. So let's have a look. The main takeaways: process, renovation, fine-tuned. The different concepts were a topic, the different models, everything. That's great. Then let's jump to the next question, because we would like to know what's your key message or question to policymakers, so we can collect that and then hand that in later. There's more space in that question, so you can type a full number of sentences if you want to. And meanwhile, I'm looking, do we have any Q&A online? We have questions, six questions. Awesome. Let's start with the first one then. Shall we just hand you the mic maybe? It's here now. Awesome. Do you see the renovation of multi-apartment buildings happening without the support of OSS? I think that's a great question.
I would opportunity because I have the mic. But what Lina said, I think we need to speed up, because the renovations will definitely happen, but it will be far quicker with the OSS.
Absolutely, it will happen and should happen. OSS, as we see, usually are public entity, and the trust in the process comes stronger with the public entities. And therefore, this is the opportunity where OSS can step in and build the trust and share the confident message if the renovation is being done also outside of the OSS. It will happen. OSS will complement and can speed up, help things go faster.
Good. Let's see to the. We have so many questions. Let's jump to the next one. How do you reach people experiencing energy poverty? Because I think that's an interesting one. Yeah.
So I mean, the thing is that when we go into the multi-apartment building, we will not know whether we have energy poor people there. It only happens when the renovation happens. So, but there is a. So we would find out when obviously when we start the process. So no one will step forward and say, "Yeah, I'm energy poor. Like, what can I do, or what can you do for me?"
But do you know, because that's the way I understand that question, do people who experience energy poverty come to you less often?
Yes and no, because well, it's as I say, basically in Lithuania there is a scheme, a support scheme, like subsidies for energy poor, and if you belong to that kind of low income, then you can get like a full compensation for renovation. So that's why no one would like to, to step ahead and say, yes, like I'm energy poor, what can you do for me? So, but we always, when we go and present, we always say, if there are people in your multi-apartment building that receive the compensation for utility bills, then they can get the full compensation for renovation as well. So that's how we support, even kind of like anonymously sometimes, we support these people as well.
All right, let's jump to the next one. Do you think RenoWave deliverables and results are still useful in 10 or 5 years in the future?
Math, with this intensity of renovation rates, for example, in Latvia, we need 200 years to renovate our buildings.
Will be useful?
Yeah, sure.
In 20 years, it won't be useful because you will, of course, increase the speed, right?
Well, the market has built the capacity on that. It's not like booms, we can start 1,000 buildings next year, but yes.
Yeah. All right. So we have the first 3 questions answered. And then we have, do you see opportunity to support any other stakeholder groups? Now I can read that in the OSS approach, like public buildings, energy communities. So that sounds like a broad, well, knowledge transfer. I don't know, Marit, maybe that's also a question for you? No, good, because you have the good overview. Do you see any potentials here to, well, have an effect on other OSS areas?
Yeah, I would say that it connects somehow to the whether the deliverables are useful in 10 years question, because I think the nature how we approach one-stop shops is more about the people and the mechanics between people, and less about the specifics of buildings. So I think many of the learnings from our processes you can use with public buildings, other public entities, other groups as well.
Okay. The next question is about the communication approach, how you reach the people besides the word of mouth. Janusz, maybe that's something you can tell us how you do that in your region.
Yes, we organize the seminars, webinars, and especially conferences where we invite municipalities, districts, and multifamily homes owners. But the biggest part of renovation works will be private house owners, and there's a lot of them. And it's difficult to reach them. That's why we cooperate very closely with the municipalities, especially Krakow municipality. In the master plan of Krakow municipality, it's written that they should create a one-stop shop. But now, when we are present in the market as a one-stop shop, I think they decided to resign from creating their own one-stop shop, and the cooperation with especially Krakow municipality, which is a big city, it's about 850,000 people. There is a lot of buildings that should be renovated. So but of course, we contact a lot of other municipalities surrounding Krakow municipality. So the cooperation with the municipalities is the most important topic for us.
Thank you. Lina, you want to add on that? I think we have some great examples with you.
Yes, I think it's all about the communication. It was mentioned like leaflets, marketing campaigns, and meetings, everything, pretty much everything. You have to be out and about, be there, be seen. So we use everything. We prepare leaflets, we go to the meetings, then when you organize a meeting, you put an advert in the multi-apartment building. It's gonna be a meeting. It's being taken off by some residents. You come back, you put another poster in. So you literally be there all the time and being seen. That's what the key point, I think.
Would you say you guys with your work are actually, well, building up communication agencies? Because to me, it sounds like that's such a big focus. I have a yes here and I have confusion here.
Because I think one thing, one learning for us was that, again, that we don't always need to be perfect in everything we do. But it's more like the content is more important. For example, at one point we organized first meetings as on-site meetings only, but then we thought, okay, let's do hybrid. But then we thought about a nice setting like here. We have a stage, some technology aiding us, but eventually we did it very DIY style with simply one camera pointing to one direction and PDF slides uploaded. And we have continued ever since. It's cheap. You don't need to procure anything from anyone, and people like it because they can go back to the meeting or they can look at the video if they couldn't participate, and they don't care about how many cameras you have. Yeah. So communication agency, yes, but not for making money in the advertising industry.
Awesome. Let's have a look. What do we have left here? What tips and tricks would you propose to a potential OSS outside of Europe? It's hard to establish such institution knowing that it can't apply to European funds. That's a good question. When you don't have access to European funds, what would you recommend?
I have a quick recommendation. I haven't had feedback to my recommendation, but I've been talking to politicians that supporting renovation is one of the simplest legal ways to acquire votes, because everyone lives in a home, in a building. If you support renovation, if you give some money to someone, I mean, running a one-stop shop, maybe you could do something with 5,000 euros a year. You could do a Facebook ad campaign, one meeting, that's a start already. And supporting renovation is a no-brainer for me, because I mean, I know that if I go to politics one day when I'm old, then I will run a full renovation platform only, because it's very relatable to everyone. Makes sense from each angle.
Any other tips? I think one of the hardest questions we had so far.
Yeah.
Okay. How to persuade ordinary citizens, especially from vulnerable groups, to invest their money into renovation and not into something else? Edgar's.
Yeah. The fact is that every apartment owner has every day the duties and problems besides the home. Family, food, work, and the home is something what is being left some like on the 10th of the priority list. Also, like mentioned, vulnerable groups and also energy poverty, those are the target groups which actually every spent euro is most efficiently gained back, because those people live in poor conditions and then spend money on the health. And so the one thing is just, coming back to communication, you have to go and be there, not expecting that they will come. Absolutely. I think that's the core mission of One Stop Shop, is go out and be present, as Lena said. And then for those energy poverty households, there should be some specified tackle how you actually deal with the problem, because those people will always think, yes, I don't have money, so why I should invest in energy efficient. And then the awareness raising is the thing, building the trust on the process, saying that in the end you will live in safe conditions and you don't have the cold during the winter, because that's the fact, and the building is too old. And being honest, building the trust in the time, which will not happen in 1-2 meetings. We see the champion buildings do it in 2 years, and you have to just accept it. It's a long-term process, and you just don't lose the presence on that. Be nearby, always open on that, and the support needed. And then there is this additional part which needs to be supported for that households, targeted, not shared for the whole country, and then that matter can be dealt.
Yes, let's
very
quickly
quickly.
Just to have an overview what we have left. I think that's all the questions we dealt with. Awesome. So please.
On that communication is the key. Yes, of course. And what we experience as well, that when you talk to the multi-apartment building owners, they're not experts, right? So they're like mainly in Lithuania, and probably Latvia and Estonia is similar. They're elderly people, so they do not speak technical language at all. So that's why when we go and present, we have to prepare an investment plan, which is consists of 80 pages of tables of formulas and everything, like what's going to be done on their house. They don't know anything about it. So that's why we go there and explain in a simplified language. So that's another key point, because of course there will be like a couple of people, I'm an expert, I'm an energy expert, like 20 years ago I was, and nothing has changed since then. Well, I'm sorry, no, it has. And you just kind of talk like simplified language to them. And another thing is that what we did is study tours as well. So you take the residents to renovated houses and show them how it's been done, how it works, and how it looks like. So that's like when they see it, experience it, they change their minds as well.
Awesome. Any questions in the room left? Anyone who wants to ask something in person? Otherwise, exactly. I would come to that in a second, but Marit, maybe you join us on stage, because I have a question that I think fits you as well, very well. Because overall, you have a good overview. What is like a major difference that you would say as a project lead that we have between the countries? Because we see there is some differences. We have heard about that, but not too much in detail. What's your experience with that?
Yeah, I think I can speak for all partners. It's been quite educational process, learning about the difference in the building stocks of the member states that has been in the project. We have like an east and west story, sort of, that the countries of the former Soviet Union has some old buildings that needs deep renovation, and it needs to be a lot more public money putting into renovation. When we look at that, Finland and Sweden, the building stock is in rather better conditions, and it's not really deep renovation that is the main focus. It's the step-by-step renovation, and it's supposed to happen without public money being motivated by energy savings. So it's not really the question of to make actually the building last longer and all that. That is a stronger focus in the Eastern countries.
Said about looking in the future and seeing what SIM will need to work on in a couple of years, what you're experiencing in Sweden.
It should be a directive, and we all should improve. So also we need to improve, but then rather step by step.
Can we have a look on the slider with our key messages? there's some things here. I think you can also see it on your phone if you want to have a deeper look on that. I can see some things about better strategy for financial support. European funds are good, but we need established national systems for financing as well. I think that became quite clear. And the need for public funding, and that OSS are essential caretakers. I think that's a good word here as a final key message. Well, we have talked about a lot of experiences over the past 3 years within the RenoWave project and the different OSS. And I think to go out and be present is a good summary for many things here. I'm not sure who said that, but it's very practical. It's a social process. We've heard that also in our keynote in the beginning, and that there is a wide range of business models, the support model, the implementation model, the advice model, and there's quite some, well, options that you have. Marit, you as project lead, well, leading this project for 3 years, what kind of final thoughts do you have also maybe besides the hard facts that we have seen? How was it?
I must say it's been great. It's been a great process. We have learned and developed together, and it makes a huge difference working in transnational cooperation. It gives you added value from learning from each other, adding experience, and being able to do the journey together. So I think I can speak for us all. It wouldn't have been the same doing this everybody on their own. So transnational cooperation and Interreg is an important tool itself for making this happen. Then coming back to, as a final word, of course, I'd like to come back to the results of the project. And you can see on the screen here, a QR code for finding out more. We have just scratched on the surface on what we actually have achieved and delivered in the project. I show you a former slide of all the sub guides, and I would like to just mention 3 examples. If you're interested in, one question was how to reach and pursue the citizens, there is an excellent guide, hand-on guide, how to market and promote energy efficiency for citizens. Guide is called Shape Your House for a Better Future. Another one that we have worked a lot on is the need of improve the system of energy performance certificates. And we have a guides showing how it could and should be done in an improved way, and how that could make us and take us where we want to go. A third example is in a guide from Poland and how you do training, a concrete guide on training on municipalities. Also connected to some of the questions, how do we convince municipalities that you need to invest in OSS and have OSSs? So you need to start maybe training the municipalities before you get this to happen. So these are just some examples. And I think we all are very curious to see how the member states will implement the directive setting up OSSs. And we hope that we have and can contribute and inspire how to do it.
Yeah. So feel free to ask many questions afterwards to our experts here on stage. Thank you for, well, joining in with all the questions that we had here, for being here, for participating. Thank you for all the valuable insights here on stage. Thank you, Janusz. Thank you, Anka, for participating from distance. And, well, I think that's a big round of applause for everyone included here.
Thank you.
Thank you.